Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Protests erupted outside a Donald Trump rally in Albuquerque, New Mexico, Tuesday night, overshadowing Trump's victory in Washington state's Republican primary. Police said anti-Trump demonstrators threw rocks and bottles, overturned barricades, lit fires, and smashed the glass door to Albuquerque's convention center, where Trump was speaking. Police descended on the protesters on horseback and in riot gear, using pepper spray and smoke bombs. Inside the convention center, protesters repeatedly interrupted Trump, who responded by taunting them.
You know, they're Bernie Sanders supporters, but I'm hearing that we're going to get about 40% of Bernie Sanders because he's not going to win. The system is rigged against Bernie Sanders, so he can't win. But I'm hearing we're going to get close to 40% of his supporters. Maybe not these people, though. All right, get them out of here. Get them out. Get him out of here.
Donald Trump won the Republican primary in Washington state with over 77% of the vote Tuesday, bringing him closer to clinching the Republican presidential nomination. His rivals, Texas Senator Ted Cruz and Ohio Governor John Kasich, have dropped out of the race. Meanwhile, Republican Party leaders are reportedly considering changing the presidential nominating process following Trump's success, including closing Republican contests to independents. More than 600 U.S. writers have signed an open letter to the American people opposing Donald Trump's candidacy, signed by authors including Stephen King, Junot Diaz, Amy Tan, and Dave Eggers. The letter reads in part, quote, "The rise of a political candidate who deliberately appeals to the basest and most violent elements in society, who encourages aggression among his followers, shouts down opponents, intimidates dissenters, and denigrates women and minorities, demands from each of us an immediate and forceful response," the authors wrote. In Brazil, interim President Michel Temer has unveiled a raft of economic austerity measures and introduced a far-reaching constitutional amendment limiting the growth of public spending. The move comes a day after the interim government's planning minister resigned after explosive transcripts showed him plotting to oust President Dilma Rousseff in order to scuttle a corruption investigation and targeting him. Speaking Tuesday, Temer sought to defend his government's integrity.
We are not going to impede investigations with regards to public morality and administrative morality. On the contrary, we will always incentivize it. I have said this with great frequency, but however many times I say it, there are always news reports saying there is a scheme to do this or that. We do not want that. Nobody wants that. I think that those people whose names come up now and again do not want that either. What they do want is a democratic state to have the right to defend themselves, but nothing that the government can interfere in.
We'll have more on Brazil after headlines. In France, gas stations have reported fuel shortages as protesters blockade oil depots amid sweeping protests against labor reform. All 8 of France's oil refineries were reportedly out of commission Tuesday as workers went on strike. France has been forced to dip into its strategic oil reserves for the first time since 2010. Unions are protesting reforms that would make it easier to fire workers, among other provisions. Union official Frank Bobard spoke on Monday.
We're going to cause a fuel shortage. You know, in the media, we hear that there won't be a shortage before 3 weeks' time. It's been less than a week that we've been mobilized all around France. There are already shortages everywhere. Let them try to find some lies that are a little more credible.
In Argentina, teachers and other public workers launched a 24-hour national strike Tuesday. They're demanding higher salaries and opposing right-wing President Mauricio Macri's veto of a bill intended to prevent layoffs. Since taking office in December, Macri has slashed 10,000 public sector jobs. Here in the U.S., the Justice Department has said it'll seek the death penalty for Dylan Storm Roof, the man accused of massacring 9 African-American worshipers in Charleston, South Carolina last year. Roof is accused of opening fire during Bible study at Emmanuel AME Church in an attack motivated by racism. In a statement, Attorney General Loretta Lynch said, quote, "The nature of the alleged crime and the resulting harm compelled this decision." State prosecutors have already said they'll seek the death penalty, and Roof has been indicted on federal hate crimes charges as well. A Pennsylvania judge has ruled there's enough evidence to proceed with a criminal sexual assault trial against comedian Bill Cosby. About 60 women have accused Cosby of sexual assault dating back decades, but in many cases the statute of limitations has lapsed. In this case, Andrea Constand accused Cosby of drugging and sexually assaulting her at his home in 2004. The former district attorney in Montgomery County chose not to bring charges in the case back in 2005. But prosecutors in Pennsylvania reopened the case last year amidst a tidal wave of other accusations against Cosby. The current DA, Kevin Steele, vowed to move forward.
The point of this is that it was intoxicating to her and that she was unable to consent. You know, that's the crime. That's the charges that we're bound over. And we look forward to handling this in court.
The brother of a Guantanamo prisoner who wrote a best-selling memoir on his experiences in the prison has been barred from entering the United States. Mohamedou Slahi has been imprisoned at Guantanamo for nearly 14 years without being charged with a crime. He wrote the book Guantanamo Diary. On June 2nd, he's set to go before the Periodic Review Board, which could recommend his release. His brother, Yadi Slahi, who lives in Germany, planned to come to the United States for a series of public events ahead of the hearing. But when he arrived at JFK Airport in New York Saturday, he was detained by Customs and Border Patrol, held overnight, interrogated, and sent back to Germany. Slahi spoke about his brother's case in a video recording after arriving back home.
On June 2nd, he is going to have another hearing. We hope he will be released. We have created a petition. I would like to ask you to sign it, and then ask your friends and family. We really need your help. Only with your help can we make Mohamedou a free man. Of course, his mother is no longer living. She died in 2013, but he has the rest of his family waiting for him.
Agribusiness giant Monsanto has rejected a $62 billion takeover bid from the German pharmaceutical firm Bayer, but said it remains open to future negotiations. A merger between the firms would create the largest supplier of seeds and agricultural chemicals in the world. The news comes after protesters took to the streets in more than 400 cities on 6 continents Saturday to protest Monsanto. In Texas, Kevin Ellis has won a Republican primary runoff for a seat on the State Board of Education. The race was closely watched across the country because Ellis's opponent, Mary Lou Bruner, has touted a rash of right-wing conspiracy theories, including that President Obama was a drug-addicted prostitute, that climate change is a hoax invented by Karl Marx, and that federal pre-kindergarten programs are a ploy to confuse children about their sexuality. Bruner was expected to win, but Ellis defeated her. In Peekskill, New York, residents have launched a permanent blockade in a bid to stop construction of a pipeline that would carry high-pressure methane gas from Massachusetts through Rhode Island, Connecticut, and down to the communities along the Hudson River. Spectra Energy's Algonquin Incremental Market Project, known as the AIM pipeline, would run only hundreds of feet from the aging Indian Point nuclear power plant, sparking concerns that a pipeline break could cause a catastrophic nuclear disaster that would threaten New York City. Democracy Now! Was there as the blockade was launched just hours ago. We'll bring you a report later in the broadcast. And here in New York City, Babeland has become the first unionized sex toy store in the country. Babeland workers voted last week to join the Retail, Wholesale and Department Store Union, saying it'll help them address concerns related to training and wages and the rights of several transgender employees. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman.